To run the wizard, simply click the wizard icon in the menu bar at the top here, and that will open up a new window. Now this page is what we call the project linking tool. It's also quite often known as the diagram designer. So if you hear anybody saying diagram designer, this is the page that they're talking about. Now, to get the most out of the diagram designer, I highly suggest the best thing you can do is to play around with it and just drag and drop and move things and just experiment. Now don't worry about getting in a mess in the diagram designer. If at any point you just need to start again, you can just come up here and you click new and it will load you a blank canvas. You can zoom in and out. You can use your mouse wheel to scroll in and out, so you can produce an absolutely massive linking diagram if you want. You zoom back in again. Now what the linking diagram does is it allows you to visually represent how your campaign is going to run. So for instance, your money site is the main site here. This is what all your links will be pointing at. So if we wanted to create a social network, which is basically like a sort of a blog type site, and we wanted that to link into our money site, we just drag the social network on, and then we draw a line between the social network and our money site. And now if we created this as a campaign, what SEnuke would do would create accounts on all the hundreds of social network sites that it has, and then it would post your article on those social network sites, and within the article it would create a link back to your money site. Now that obviously sounds quite simple, but you can go extremely complicated. I mean, you can start linking in below that, of course. This is what we call a tier 1 link. A tier 1 link is a link between a property and your money site. There is one link, there's one tier, and the tier being the link here. If we put something in here, a social bookmark, and we put that behind the social network, that is now a tier 2 link because it is 2 levels away from your money site, 1 and 2. If we then put in another one behind that, if we just drag in a forum profile, for instance, and create a link down between those, that would now be, you're probably way ahead of me on this one, that would be a tier 3 link because it is now 1, 2, 3 levels away from the money site. Now if we produce this, what would actually happen, say we set this up to go over a period of a couple of weeks to run this campaign. First thing SEnuke would do is create all the accounts on all these sites. That takes it a little while, 20-30 minutes depending on how many sites you've got. And then after that it will run this social network for the first day, and it will produce some links and send them to our site, and then it will stop and wait for the next day, and it will run again, and it will send links to our website again, and then it will stop, and then another day it will run and send links and so on. The number of days it runs depends exactly how many you set on the schedule settings here at the end. But basically eventually once this is finished, it will be stopped forever, and then the next tier, the next level will start. So now social bookmarks will start backlinking the social network that you did. And that creates authority and link juice behind the social network, which flows through the social network and up to your money site. So exactly the same, the social bookmarks will run over and over again each day, producing backlinks to the social network. And then when that one has finished, after the set number of days, the forum profile will begin, and that will start linking into the bookmarks. Now you have a large number of forum profiles, a sort of medium number of social bookmarks, and a smaller number of social networks. So it goes large, medium, and small. When I say small, there are actually quite a lot of social networks, but relatively speaking, that's how it flows. So it's a pyramid, basically, of a lot of links going into a medium number of links, going into a smaller number of links, going into one link. So you're channeling basically everything through. Now there is another option here, which I'll just show you. You can see these are grey coloured. Now grey just means it's a standard link. That means that this project here will wait until this project here has completely stopped, completely finished before it starts. If you left click onto the links and then right click here, you'll get up the connection type, which has the standard or the chain. If we change it to chain, you'll see that it is now turned to a red. And what this will now do is, while this bookmark module is running, when it has finished running for the day, not when it has finished completely, but when it's finished for the day, the links that it has created that day will be passed through to the forum profiles. Now you wouldn't typically use that for a forum profile. Let me just select that and delete it out. But where you would often use that, and you'll see it in our diagrams, is for the indexer module and the spider pinger module. If I just connect those in. Now obviously you can connect more than one thing in as well, like this. You can see we now have two. So what's going to happen here is, at the moment, when these social bookmark has completely finished, then the indexer will run and index those social bookmarks, and also the spider pinger tool, which is another indexing tool, will also index those bookmarks. But if we change these to chains, and it's always a good method to have your indexing as a chain, what it will now do is at the end of each day it will bookmark whatever links have been created for that day. Now there are a few rules here and there about what you can connect and what you cannot connect, but don't worry, the wizard will not let you connect something that's not possible. For instance, if we connect in an article directory here, this is okay, this is allowed, but article directories are generally moderated resources, so after Essinuke has posted your article here, you will not see it straight away, it won't appear. And it can take a few days, sometimes it can take a week or two before your article will actually appear. Now because of that, it is not possible to create a link into the article directory. If we try and do that, we'll put in the indexer here. You see, it will tell us that you cannot link this project type to the article directory because it doesn't output URLs. Well, okay, that may be a little confusing. It does output URLs, but because we don't know what those URLs are, because the URLs can't be detected until a few weeks later, there's nothing for Essinuke to backlink to. So certain projects like article directory, press release is the same. Projects like that you cannot actually link into. But as I said, the best thing you can do there is to play around, drag them in, drop them, and then if you get into a complete mess, you just click on the new here and start again. There's nothing you can do here that's going to be wrong, basically. There are, of course, best practices when it comes to SEO. Typically speaking, we don't link forum profiles into our money site anymore. That was a technique that was used a few years back, and these days that wouldn't really be what you would do. However, that said, the money site does not actually have to be your money site. You can have any site here as the money site. So you could create a hub page, for instance, based on your niche, and you could be using that as a money site, as basically a tier 1 money site, as we would call them. And then it's not so important, perhaps, if anything ever happens to it, and you can run profile links against it then. But typically speaking, you'll see that all the templates that we have pre-created, they all follow the best practice of SEO, and they don't have forum profiles coming into the money site. There are a couple of specialist options, projects in here. One of them is the Toolbox, and that's for very advanced stuff. From the Toolbox you can launch scripts, which can basically run almost anything you want. And Nuke TNG is the weight module. If we just drag that in and just connect it up. Now the weight module on its own doesn't really do anything. It needs to have something behind it. So if we put in a social network behind the weight module here, and we just link that up. Now what this does is basically puts in a pause. Now if we look over here, you'll see there is a delay here, and this is a delay in days. We can set this to whatever we want, within reason. So we'll set that to 5 days. So what will happen now is when the campaign starts, this will start activating straight away, and it will work as like a 5-day countdown. So for 5 days, this social network won't run, and no links will be created this way either. This will still be running here. Now, after the 5 days have passed, this will have finished, and then the social network will start to work, and it will start linking through to the money site. Now, this doesn't actually produce any links, obviously, and it's basically invisible within the line. It's kind of like it's not there. All this is doing is pausing this social network so it doesn't start straight away. Now we're going to use one of the pre-built templates. We can use social skills, and there we can see. I can quickly go through what this is actually doing. So we've got our money site in the middle here, and to our money site we have linked a social network and a premium social network. These are the two tier 1 sites. You can see they are called tier 1 social network plus, links to money site, and this one is called tier 1 social network, and again links to money site. This naming system may seem a bit strange to start with, but if you go through the PDF, you'll see a description of how all that works. Once you get used to it, it's very effective. For instance, we could just open up this one here, and I can see that instantly that is a tier 3. It's a forum profile, and that's backlinking into the tier 2 social network. So I know exactly what type of project that is, and I know where it's linking. And obviously, if I link through to that one, I know that that's a tier 2 social network, and that's linking through the weight, which is that there, the tier 1 social network plus, which is the premium social network here. We usually call the premium social networks social network plus, just because it's kind of easier in these project names. So if we go through what's going to happen here, on the right hand side, what we'll have is the social network will run for a period of time. Now every single day after the social network has run, the links created for that day are going to be sent to the spider and pinger tool. We mentioned that in the setup video. Now once this is finished, what will happen is it will then be backlinked by the Web2 profiles, and each day that those Web2 profiles are running, they will be indexed by the spider and pinger tool. On the left hand side, at the same time that this project is running, the premium social network will also run. Now every single day that the premium social network runs, it will be indexed by the indexer, and when it has completed, it will be bookmarked and it will be profiled. Equally, what's going to happen is after 5 days, this wait will stop and the social network here will start backlinking into the premium social network here. Now the accounts that are going to be used for this social network are the same accounts that will be used for this social network. So there is actually a link, although you won't see it on the diagram here. On the websites themselves, there is technically a link between these two. Because they're using the same account, it's like if you think of a blog. On a blog you have, this would be like your day 1 post, and this would be your day 2 post. And there's always a link somewhere between the day 1 and the day 2 posts. So what we have produced here is kind of also a circle. So while this is linking into the money site, it will also be linking basically through to the social network and through the premium social network and into your money site. Everything here is linking into the money site. So equally, this Web2 profile can come through the social network here. It's linked through to the social networks on this side, although we don't have a physical link here, as I said. It's there on the sites, and then it comes through. So we have everything coming through the premium social network itself, even though it doesn't quite visually show you that here. That's just one of the that's basically what we call an invisible link. Now that's obviously a bit advanced, but you'll soon get to grasp that. And that's something that the loop mode takes full advantage of. So we've reached the stage where this social network is now running, and each day that this one is running, this spider and pinger will be indexing it. And when this is finished, the forum profile here will backlink through this social network. So you can see here we have quite a powerful template. It looks like it only has a small number of links to your money site, but it is quite a large number, and you can see that the flow of link juice goes very accurately through everything. And these in particular premium social network sites are very powerful sites, and they're generally well, we would have called them high PR sites in the past, but they are high domain authority sites, and they pass plenty of juice through to your money site. Now the advantage of using the built-in SEnuke campaign tools, project tools like this one, is that they are all set up properly. You will find a lot of templates on the internet, and what a lot of people tend to do is just drag and have a huge mass of projects here, and it may look really cool and great, but in reality it's if you actually start to look at what's being created, it's just a mess of links. So if in doubt, use our templates to start with. Learn from our templates. You'll soon start to work out how our templates are based, and then you can start creating your own. You can also modify our templates, of course. There's nothing to stop you. You can select anything on one of our templates and delete it off. We could get rid of all these projects over here if we wanted to. So we could get rid of this spider tool. You just select them and press delete. And so, for instance, if we wanted to change that and we actually wanted to do bookmarking, we could bring in a bookmark instead. It remembers the previous linking was a chain, so it's become a chain itself. It's one of the small complexities of the diagram designer. And we could put in oh, let's drag it down here. We could add in some article directory links into our money site, for instance, there. We can make any changes we want. Let me just open up the original again. Put it back how it was. If you do make your changes and you want to keep them, you just have to select this save button here, and it will save them in your templates folder. So as I said, the best thing you can do is have a good play here and experiment, and then when you're happy with what you've got, or you've experimented and you've cleared it all off, and then you've gone to open and opened up one of our templates, you just simply select the next button and it will move you on to the the next stage, which is basic info. Now on this page, the first thing you need to do is give the campaign a name. This is how you will find the campaign in the future in your campaigns list, so it's quite useful to give it a name you can understand. A lot of people stick with the niche, or you could have the website and the niche, so you could have www.dogs.com and then the keyword dog training, and then the next one you could put www.dogs.com and dog clickers, etc. It's kind of up to you how you want to organize your campaigns. If you're only doing a few campaigns, it's not so important, but people who run hundreds and sometimes thousands of campaigns, then it does become more important how you organize your campaigns. Now you can set down here several different types of keywords. The first one is the primary keyword. These are the specific keywords you're trying to rank for. Generally they'll be 1, 2 or maybe 3 words long. You don't usually have primaries which are extremely long keywords, although in some niches of course you would. There's no hard fast rule there. They are based upon the primary point of your website, and in particular the page that you are linking to. So if we're linking to a dog training page, our primary keyword is likely to be dog training. Now you can put in, you can actually put in as many keywords as you want in the primary box. Generally 1 or 2 is the best. I usually stick with 1 personally, and we recommend a maximum of 5 in this point. The secondary keywords, you can actually use anything you want in these boxes. This secondary, generic and other are just examples really. The secondary keywords are typically the long tail variations of your primary keyword. So for instance here in Australia you might have dog training Melbourne, Gold Coast dog trainers, etc. You can type these in yourself and you will always get better results if you type them in yourself and come up with your own secondary keywords. But if you want to, you can just generate them from Google. This uses Google suggestions. It's based upon your local IP. Basically, if you went into Google and you typed in and started typing in dog training, Google gives you recommendations of what it thinks you're about to type. These are those recommendations. So all of these things are basically, as far as Google is concerned, related to dog training. These are the key phrases it thinks are related to dog training. So they are very niche related, because we're getting this directly from Google themselves. Now you can put in as many different types as you want. For instance, you could have a generic down here of you could put in the click here's and go to my site and words like that, which a lot of people like to use. Or you could put in naked URLs in here. You could put in your URL of www.dogs.com, for instance, and make that a keyword. Anything you want. Basically, it's an open option, however you want. The most common thing you'll be doing will be just the primary and the secondary, though. Now you have to set the percentage of primary to secondary, and there's obviously a big debate on that. We're usually going on a 60-40 basis, and that means for every 3 times it posts the link dog training, it will also twice post a link with the backword with the long tail in it. Now that's pretty good, because as you can see the long tail has dog training in it all the time, so you're still getting the keyword dog training, but you're getting a much bigger diversity of backlinks. We're very much the same over here in the URL section. You can set up your primary, secondary and any other URL that you want. Primary URL is generally the page that you are linking to, so http://www.dogs.com/training. It's usually a sub page of your website rather than the root page, and you can do multiple. If you have multiple training pages, for instance, you can list them all in here. And the other thing over here on the secondary is typically going to be the root page of your website, so just the the front page. Now if you had a really big website and it had different sort of sections on training, you could have the different sections of training here in the URL section, and then over here you could have the specific just the training bit, and then down here in other, for instance, you could just have the dogs.com part. It's very open again, but typically you're going to go for sub pages and main page, and a typical ratio you're going to put in here would be 20 to 80. Oops, I've accidentally pressed the bar rather than enter there. 20 to 80. I've done it again. Can you believe? There we are, 2080. It does calculate this one automatically. So basically, for every 4 links that we are creating to the dog training, we'll also create 1 to the root. Now up here, you have to choose the number of profiles. This is basically how many accounts, different account types you want for this for here. So if you have one, it will create one set of accounts for Premium Social Network. If you have two, it will create two sets of accounts. Three, it will create three sets of accounts. Now, creating more accounts takes more time, and it will cost you more money because you have to solve the captcha. So generally speaking, it's best just to stick with them. And most of our templates will be a one profile. I know there are a lot of massive templates around on the net, and people like to just jump up to three, but generally speaking, one is the correct number. If you're unsure and you really don't know after you've built your project linking thing, you can just do a suggest here, and it will tell you how many it thinks you should have. As you can see, it's one. And that calculation is actually based upon how many profile links you have in the diagram. Most of these different types of projects that can take as many links as you want to put. You can do as many bookmarks as you want on an account. You can do as many social networks, premium social networks on an account. You can do as many articles as you want on one account. But some of the project types, in particular profiles, the forum profiles and the Web2 profiles, you can only put so many links into these before they get full. And basically the setting here is calculating when those will get full. So if once they're full, then you need some more. We generally don't put too many of these into our campaigns at once, so that you don't ever need to have more than one set of profiles. That's faster, it's quicker, save you money, and it's generally the best way to go. So we've actually set up this page now. So we set it all up so we can have the 60-40 ratio on our keywords and an 80-20 ratio on our URLs. So we click through to next, and we get to the common project settings. Now, if you've already done the Turbo Wizard video, you'll see that basically these settings are missing from the Turbo Wizard. This is a section that isn't covered in Turbo, and that is because most people don't actually fill in this section. They just go through the auto-generate functions. But it's here for those that want to set up a campaign specifically with certain parameters. Now, tags is in all of the, it is in the Turbo Wizard as well. Tags should be related to your niche. They're preferably going single words separated by commas. Now, it may seem a little strange that because these days tags are quite often multi-word, but if you do multi-word, some of the sites won't work. Some sites still insist on single word tags. So if you can put it in single word tags, do it. Although natural wise, it is more common to have multi-word tags. Now you can generate these yourself by clicking the generate from primary keywords. But that, as I said, this generates based upon your IP, and so it's not always what you want. I'm being in Australia, so it's generating mostly Australian-based tags here. And if I was wanting to market this in America, obviously that wouldn't be the best thing. So you can also just type in your own tags. You need 3 different tags. So we can have dog clicker, dog manual, dog course, etc. There are also tools around that can generate all this. If you're using Content Machine, for instance, as your article source, then that has a function for generating tags as well. Now down here is a fairly important section, the subdomain. The subdomain is used on a number of social network sites, though not all, and this basically becomes part of the URL of where the page that SEnuke creates on that social network site. And so it's a good idea to have your keyword in there, because then your keyword becomes part of the URL. Now you may see after this we've got some spin tags, which is the numbers 1 through 0, and again 1 through 0. And what that does is every time that it creates this, it will create dog training and then a 2-digit number. Now this is important because obviously every URL on the site has to be unique, and somebody may have come along at some point and done a dog training article before. So if yours is just called dog training and you try and post it there and there's already a dog training one, it will fail. Whereas if you have a number afterwards, then it's going to work. Now don't worry, if by the unlucky chance that somebody has done dog training and it spins out as number 35 and there is already a dog training 35 out there that someone's done, SEnuke will try again and produce another one, so don't worry about that too much. And down here is the user profile settings. This is primarily used on the press releases. Press releases work slightly differently to everything else. They're kind of like articles rather than anything else. I would say article is the nearest thing. For a press release, you have to have a name and username, etc. You can type in names if you want, or you can just auto-generate your names. The other thing that's required on the press release is a company name. Now, the company name is whatever you want, basically. If you're doing this for a real company, then obviously you could use their company name. Now in this case, we're not a company here, we're just advertising dog training. So we can just put in dog training incorporated or whatever, or you could put in the name of your website, etc. Anything you want, as long as it's niche related. If you don't like anything that's been generated here for any reason, you can just click the auto generate again and generate away. The birthdays are always set to be old enough. You won't ever get somebody who's 14 or 12 or anything like that. You can see they're always aged, and it's an unlimited number of stuff here for you, basically. Now over here on the right hand side we have categories. Categories are a number of sites will have a category system. They will put your article into a specific category. There are not so many sites that do that these days, but there's still quite a few. You can just auto-generate the categories. It'll just select and it will just randomly pick some out. But the best thing you can do is to type in some words relating to your niche. So dog, pet, home, training. And one small tip is to add the word new at the end. This will pick out any category that says new or news, which is obviously quite a generic. So if we select that now, we can see we've got most of the categories here are now fairly relevant. Obviously, it's not going to be possible to have a relevant category every single time for every single site, for every single niche that you're doing. So some of the sites are more specific, so you can't possibly have everything on everything. But if you select this so that it selects one at random, then it will always at least select something. If you don't want to be random, you can type in ignore here, and then if it doesn't find anything that's related to the ones you've selected, it will ignore the site. You see, it's gone for ignore site. Now you still will get odd ones. See, we've got funeral home here because it's got the word home in it. But this is automation, and automation obviously is never 100% perfect. The main point is here that we're doing thousands and thousands of links, and 90% of them will be good for our use. So we click on next and we get to the content source. This is where we actually specify what's going to be used by this campaign. Now you see in this current version, this box here is grayed out. It hasn't quite been finished yet. The way this one works is it's kind of like an automated version of the article manager, and you select the single use articles, and then all the different content sources that you can use are here. And you can basically just generate a set of articles here in the wizard itself, and they just get saved into the content manager. It kind of saves you going into the content manager and creating articles there. It's good for just for, as we call it, a single use. If you just want to nuke something now, you've just seen something on the news and you want to get something out quick, it's a good way to do that. Generally speaking though, you need to use the article manager most of the time, because you're going to be working within your niche over and over again, and it's better to build up a really good, decent set of articles that you can keep using. Now this will be available in a few days time, and we'll update this video accordingly when that is, and then you won't hear this bit which I've just spoken. So lucky people who are hearing it now. Now to use the main article manager, you just select the article group that you want. So we're going to use our tier 1 articles here for our tier 1 group. We'll use our tier 2 articles for our tier 2 group, and the bookmark articles that we selected for our bookmark group. Now we can spin up one of the, we can do a spin preview of our tier 2 content, and we can have a look at it. Our tier 2 doesn't have any links in it at the moment because there are no links created yet, because we haven't actually done the nuke yet. We can have a look at our tier 1, and we can see it's spinning out nicely, and we can have a look at the bookmarks, and we can see that they're nice and short. So we can see our content's all there, ready to go. Spin out some more bookmarks as we go. Everything's ready, so we can click on next and we can schedule our campaign to start. Now on this page we set up when the campaign will begin, how long it will run for, and how many times it's going to run. Now don't worry about scheduling 2 campaigns to start at the same time. If you accidentally do that, it's not a problem. SEnuke will sort that all out for you. You'll basically run one campaign, and then when that campaign is finished for that day, it will run the next one. You can run multiple campaigns at once, but they run one after the other. They don't actually run at the exact same time. They just run one and then it runs the next one. Now by default the time will be about 30 minutes ahead of the time that you are currently at, but you can set this to any time you want into the future. So we can set it for 3 p.m. if I wanted to. I could move it forward a couple of days if I wanted to start it in a few days time. I might be going away on holiday for instance and I want it to start while I'm away. You can set that up. You set how many days you want it to run for. Generally speaking, smaller templates are sort of 7, 8, 9 days, medium size 10, 11, 12, and bigger templates 15 plus. If we click suggest here, it will tell us that it's recommending 11 days for this template. It's a medium sized template, so it's got 3 tiers in it. If you're at all worried about this, it's always better to go for longer rather than shorter. If you want the campaign to finish in 1 day, you can just set it to 1 and it will finish everything in 1 day. That's all 3 tiers. That is of course a lot of backlinking, but again there are uses for that if you're just creating something quickly and it's you've created a hub page that you want to backlink real fast because it's something that's in the news and you want to get it ranked up, then you can do the submission in a day and get it all done. Now below that we have the submitter options. There's actually a help file here, you can read about them. This is an advanced thing and generally not for new users. If we open up the submitter options, you can see we get a chance to limit how many sites SEnuke is going to be linking to. By default it's set to 100% of everything, but we can limit it to 75%, 50% or 25% of sites. You can also customize individual ones. So for instance, if we wanted to do everything, but we didn't want to do all the bookmarks because we thought, oh, there's too many bookmarks, we could lower the number of bookmarks down. You can also set SEnuke to produce a specific number of sites. So this sets it to 20 sites, as you can see. Now if there aren't 20 sites within the thing, it just sets it to the maximum. These will be very small nukes if we're just doing 10, but there are people and times when you want to do that. Most of the time though, and most people are going to leave it 100%. That's the option we use almost all the time. This option here, restrict chained modules, is similar, but not quite the same. If you go back to the project linking, you remember we had these chain sites, the indexes, and we're going to make this chain here. If we just right click that and make that a chain. So we've now chained this social bookmark, so now this social bookmark is running every day. Now you might want to restrict just chain sites, because if you've got a lot of social bookmarks and you're running those every single day, you're doing a lot of linking through to this premium social network every day, and you might not want to be doing all, if we have 200 social bookmark sites here, you might want to do all 200 every single day. So on the scheduling setting here, you can come in to limit it for the social bookmarks, and you can drag it down to whatever number you want for that day. Again, in most cases, most people are not going to be using that. But what people will be using here is the loop mode. This is new to SEnuke TNG. This allows you to create the campaign once and then have it loop so that it reuses itself. This is what the article manager was all about. So basically, once the campaign is finished, if we turn it into loop mode, it defaults to 1 time here. Once it's finished, it will basically reset the schedule, and it will start running the campaign again. Now because we're using the content source here, the article manager, when it goes through it will be loading in articles again from the same sources, but because we've got a lot of different articles in here, it's effectively loading different content each time. Now by default that's going to use the same accounts over and over and over again, but as we already mentioned, the problem with that is if you have certain types of sites, they get full. These web profile sites, they can get full. So if you want to, instead of overriding the links, if you want to create new links on those sites each time, you can select this, create new accounts each time, and that will create a completely new set of accounts each time. Now you might not want to create a full set of new accounts each time, because you might say, well, I want to keep my social network and my social network plus and my bookmarks. I'll keep those each time. So you can use what we call the high authority account method, and so we can select, it's come on my other screen there, we can select which types to reuse, and we can say, right, we want to keep the premium, we're going to keep the social, we're going to do new articles each time, and the rest we'll just create new ones each time. So like that. So now it will keep these 3, but it will create new ones for everything else. You can see we don't have an option here for the profiles. That's because there's no reason why you would want to keep those if you were doing this method, so it's not even there. Lastly, say you can set the number of days. If you don't want it ever to end, you can set infinite and it will just loop forever and ever and ever. You can also set a pause between each run, so that if we set a pause of 5 days, for instance, the campaign will run for 5 days. Sorry, the campaign will run for what we suggested up here, 11 days, didn't say that earlier. It will run for 11 days, and then once it's finished on those 11 days, it will wait for 5 days, and then it will run again another 11 days. And we set it for once loop here, so it would only do it the one time. Now that is actually it. We have gone through the entire process here. We click on next. It will tell us here that the wizard requires that start with Windows is enabled. I've got it disabled at the moment. Would you like to enable it? It needs to start with Windows so that SEnuke is running on the machine. And now you've selected all that, you just need to select finish and it will export. If you're worried about anything, you can go back through and recheck everything. But otherwise, you just click on finish and it will create the campaign for you. So when we click the finish, it will download an email. You may get some windows flash up as it's doing this because it's obviously it's kind of automating the process of SEnuke now. It will download an email for your account. Then it will go through the process of actually creating all the different campaigns and populating them with the content, linking them together, structuring everything exactly as we had it in the project linking diagram, and then it's finished. And we have our dog training campaign here, and all the campaigns have been set up. And you can see it's set to go at 3:35 p.m. as we said on the 25th. And when that time comes, this campaign will start and it will run for the period of time that we sold it, which was total campaign time would be the 11 days. Plus that's 11 working days. If you have wait states in there, the waits will extend the campaign, so it's the time that you set is the number of actual days that SEnuke is working. If you put a 20-day wait in there, it will be it would have been 11 working days plus the 20 days, so the whole campaign then would have been 21 days. But we can now go on the summary screen and we can pretty much sit back and relax and forget about that one. As it's running, it will show you that it's going to run twice because we told it to loop once, so it runs once and then runs again. And at the moment you can see that it has run 0 times of the 2. It shows you how when the created the campaign, when it's going to start, and down here it will show you how many links it has built so far. The only important thing to note is you'll see on my screen I have the scheduler is actually paused. It says here resume scheduler. I just do that in videos just so that I don't have any nukes ever start during the middle of a video. Yours will look like this. That means it's actually running. So if you ever want to pause your scheduler, you need to stop something running, you just click on the pause scheduler and it will pause. You'll see down here that it says next schedule check paused, and when it's normally running you'll see there's a countdown timer. Basically what SEnuke does is it counts down from 60 seconds, and when it reaches 0 it checks through all your campaigns to see if anything needs to run. If it needs to run, it runs it. If it doesn't need to run, it just resets the clock and it counts down again. So we've created our campaign in the wizard and we've set it all up and it's going to run, and that's all you need to do to create SEO optimized campaigns in SEnuke.